Hello, everybody. We're talking about the critical thinking, and we're working together to help you understand the thought process when somebody is doing some critical thinking after reading a reading passage. So I'm going to read a couple more for you and then talk through my thought process as I go through to try to determine the answer. Okay? Question 1 refers to the following advice about buying a used car. If you are still interested in buying a used car after you inspect it, you should test drive it and have a mechanic check it. Then you should check whether the asking price is reasonable. You can check used car prices in guides such as the Kelley Blue Book or by using a used car pricing service. Begin the negotiation by making an offer that is less than you are willing to pay. You can politely inform the seller about any problems or drawbacks your review of the vehicle has uncovered, and tell the seller how much it will cost to bring the car up to your standard. Then say no more. Allow the seller to make a counter offer. That's when they come back and tell you what they are willing to sell it to you for. When he or she does, explain that your offer is fair and as much as you can pay. See what happens. If you must raise your original offer, do so in small amounts, about $100 at a time. When you get to your target price, tell the seller your offer is final and good only for the next 24 hours. If the seller doesn't accept it, then leave. There are plenty of other used cars for sale. However, a seller will usually accept a fair offer rather than lose the sale. What can you conclude from the information in the passage? Think, what is a reasonable judgment based on the information? What conclusion do the details support? So a conclusion is basically reading a passage and then determining what you think you could understand, even if they didn't exactly say it word for word. Okay? So basically, you use the information that you read and you kind of get meaning out of it. And maybe it wasn't clearly stated. I'm just kind of repeating what I said. And then you decide what you believe. Okay? So we're going to read the choices. Your choices are: the first price the seller offers is usually the price at which the used car sale is made. Well, no, remember it told you about negotiating, kind of saying what you want to pay or you think it's worth. And then it says B, an inspection, knowledge of the car's value, and a business-like approach are critical to success in negotiating to buy a used car. And then it says, a buyer has greater success in negotiating the purchase of a used car when he or she tells the seller why the car is desirable. I mean, that might help a little bit, and then the key to successful negotiation is to be willing to meet the seller's original price. Have you really negotiated if all you do is give them what they asked for in the first place? Let's go back and think. I know it's not A. The first price the seller offers isn't going to be, necessarily what the car has to sell for. And then it goes to B. Well, in the passage, it did talk about you having knowledge and you getting it checked out and you negotiating. So I would say that B would be our best answer. We can conclude from this passage that an inspection, knowledge of the car's value, and a business-like approach are critical to the success in negotiating to buy a used car. Okay, I'm going to go try another one. Let's see. This one's going to have to do with social studies and economics. Okay, and it actually says questions 2 and 3 refer to the following passage. It says most people think of sweatshops as factories found in the past or faraway places. And if you want to know what a sweatshop is sometimes in countries that don't have much money and people are hungry, they're willing to work for very small amount of money. And so they're just working really, really hard and long hours, and they're not getting paid very much. But it says they would be surprised that there are modern day American sweatshops. For instance, one clothing factory in New York forces workers to stay overtime on the job for no extra pay. And another in Kentucky pays such low wages that full-time workers qualify for government food stamps. So even though they work full-time, their pay is so minimal, the government will still give them their food stamps. And then it goes on to say, because of low labor costs, so that means because they don't pay their employees very much money, sweatshops can sell their clothes fairly cheaply. Stores that buy from sweatshops can sell their clothes at a big profit. And some store owners say their customers will not pay the higher prices they would have to charge if they were selling the clothes that came from factories paying workers decent wages. And thus they charge more for their clothes, would charge more for their clothes. So basically, the whole passage is telling us that at sweatshops, a lot of people work very hard and make very little money. So the owner of the sweatshop can sell the clothes inexpensively so that the people who buy the clothes can sell the clothes and make a good bit of money on them. Okay? And then they want to know what we can conclude from this passage. What can you conclude about the wages of U.S. sweatshop workers? They are lower than most of the U.S. workers. They are about the same as those of most other U.S. workers. They are about the same as those of most foreign workers, and they are higher than those of most other U.S. workers. Okay, well, let's go look again. But it said right here, one clothing factory in New York forces workers to stay overtime on the job for no extra pay. And another one pays such low wages that full-time workers qualify for government food stamps. So really what we can conclude is that they are lower than those of most U.S. workers. They're not the same. And while they could be, we don't really know. It didn't talk to us about foreign workers' pay at all. And they're definitely not higher because it says they're qualifying for government food stamps and they work overtime with no extra pay. Okay? We're going to go on and read number 3. It says, what can you conclude about how store owners price the clothes they sell? Their prices are set in proportion to the government's minimum wage. Their prices are set by sweatshop owners, or their prices are based on what they pay for the clothes and what their customers are willing to spend. And their prices are based on what customers will spend for the clothes and on the profits the sweatshop owners make. Okay, well, when we go back up here, it says, because of low labor costs, sweatshops can sell their clothes fairly cheaply, but then we're talking about the stores in the question. And then the stores that buy from the sweatshops sell the clothes at a big profit. And it says that the store owners say their customers wouldn't pay if the cost were too high for the clothes. So we can conclude that store owners price the clothes. It doesn't really have anything to do with minimum wage, so we could X that out. And it doesn't really, the sweatshop owners aren't going to tell you how much to sell the clothes for. The sweatshop owners sell the clothes the first time, and then the store owner sells the clothes the next time. So it's not going to be that. So the store owners pay for the clothes, and then they figure out what they're going to charge for the clothes, and they have to figure out what customers are willing to spend. So we're going to go with C, okay? Because the store owner's price doesn't have anything to do with how much the profit was at the sweatshop. So we're going to go with C. 3 is C. I hope that helped you kind of learn through the thinking process. And I hope it helps you the next time you have to answer a critical thinking question after a passage that you have read. Thanks very much.